like to build your dream home? Has it seemed a little daunting or a little overwhelming with the process? Welcome to Breakfast with Bev this morning. I'm Bev Curtis with Bev & Company here at House of Brokers Realty. And I'm actually here in Parkside Estates in a brand new construction home on Hellwick Drive built by Pate Jones Construction. Let's talk about if you can't find maybe the home that's existing that fits your wants and needs, what would it look like to go through the building process? First of all, a lot of it involves the planning. What's your price point? What's your real wants and what's your needs? And is it in the location that's going to warrant your lifestyle with ease to maybe schools, work, whatever you do for recreation? So kind of think about all of those things that you do on a weekly basis as far as location of where you want to be. So then that next piece of it then is actually selecting the lot or the land that you want to be on. So maybe you want to be inside the city limits, maybe you want to be in the county. So it's very possible to do either. Some are going to be on platted lots, and of course sometimes it's acreage. So you're going to have to basically choose a builder in that process and devise your floor plan and see what's going to fit on that lot and make it the most practical and the most cost effective to achieve. So with that being said, when you talk about the cost factor, one of the next steps is actually the financing as well. So depending on the time that you start the process and that you finish, there's that time where you lock in with the lender so that you can keep your interest rate. So one of the things when you're kind of planning in that process, looking for the lot and kind of where you want to be, interviewing the builder that you think that you'd have a good personality fit, you also need to think about timing with that builder as far as when can they start and when is your completion date so that you can get the best interest rate and get locked in. The other piece of that then is reviewing like covenants and restrictions, what the do's and the don'ts of that parcel that you're purchasing. Does it allow for a slab or for a walkout? Maybe if you're in the county, you're wanting an additional outbuilding. So all of those things need to be reviewed in advance. And with the help of a builder and a good realtor to walk you through that process, it makes it so much easier to arrive at where you want to be and at what price point. The next step of that then is devising kind of your budget items on a spec sheet, the categories of what are all the elements that goes into a new construction home. So for instance, the lumber is going to be one category, the foundation will be one category, basically the inside finishes, your appliances, your electrical, your plumbing. All of those things need to be budgeted in your spec sheet, and that's basically up for discussion with you and your builder as far as negotiating and prioritizing what do we really need. Sometimes it's easy to kind of build that wants and needs list up to where maybe the price point doesn't fit what you feel comfortable for a monthly payment. That's where you're going to have to really prioritize and figure out what are the must-haves that I'm not willing to negotiate on, and what are the things that, okay, this is in our maybe pile. If we have enough money left over, we could add a few of these extra features in. And we're going to kind of pan around the home here that we're at on Hellwick Drive just to kind of show you some of the extra features here too that Pate Jones incorporated into their spec home that we have. So like they have their light fixtures, we're here in the dining room. They've got the wood beams in the ceiling. They do incorporate a lot of recessed lighting throughout the home. We've got some shiplap on the fireplace. We've got the hardwood floors. Most of the time people really like to incorporate a screened porch if that's something that fits in their budget. So all of these things are in that construction design process of what you're going to incorporate into your new construction home. The other piece of it then is going to be some of the fine-tuning details as far as like perhaps the electrical, your plumbing fixtures, what type of appliances that you want to have. All of those things are kind of personal choices that it's up to you to determine what you choose. Most of those items obviously are going to come with a warranty that comes from the manufacturer, and then it does come with a builder warranty too, typically a 1-year builder warranty on the workmanship with the construction of the home. process with the builder to where you pick out the lot, design your floor plan, make all your tweakings, go through your spec sheet, make certain everything is in check on the financial side of things, and then it does come time to do your final walkthrough. That's the time then where you'll go through with the builder and go room by room and basically see if there's any little detail work that needs to be finished up, if there's any paint touch-ups that needs to be done. Usually at the tail end, that's also when the landscaping with the yard is getting groomed up so that it's basically turnkey for you to go to the closing table. The closing really looks the same as if you bought an existing home. With Pate Jones Construction, for instance, they actually do turnkey projects to where once all of those selections are picked that we just talked about, you would actually do a contract for a home to be completed by a particular closing date. And then when the closing date arrives, when it comes around where it's finished, that's when you would physically go to the closing table and close on it, receive the keys in hand, and then obviously receive your occupancy permit, that everything is done to code, and that it's ready for you to safely move in. So the moral of this whole conversation, I think, is that it sounds like it's a lengthy process, but if you're working with the right people, experience with new construction really matters. I've worked with Pate Jones Construction now a number of years. In fact, I was the realtor that sold their first home, I think it was close to 26 years ago, over in Broadway Farm subdivision. And they have a very long-standing reputation for doing a great job and standing behind their product. So if you're considering new construction, don't think of it as a daunting process. Think of it as something that's a new, fun adventure that we can walk you through every step of the way, and at the end, you could certainly have the home of your dreams. So when you're considering new construction, certainly consider Pate Jones Construction, and also reach out to our team with Bev & Company. We would be more than happy to work through the process with you. Thanks so much for joining in, guys. Hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll look